first and foremost, it's a visual design tool. So if you're familiar with WordPress, it's a great CMS, but it's not that easy to build landing pages or websites and design it, to look professional. You have to use a certain theme that looks a certain way. With a visual page builder, you can edit and design everything. You design it while you see it. And it's very handy, and it cuts down on the work of the web designer substantially.
G'day, Troy Dean here from WP Elevation, and welcome to another episode of the WP Elevation podcast. Our feature guest this week is Ben Pines from Elementor, which is a page building plugin. These guys have over 400,000 installs of their plugin, and I spoke to Ben about how they've managed to grow their business in a very noisy marketplace. The page building plugin marketplace is saturated, and Ben has said in this interview that he puts it down to the fact that they have a very clear vision of what their company and product stands for and what they want it to be. They're also great at nurturing the community of their customers, and we also talk a little bit about the challenges of growing the company, managing their team, and whether or not Gutenberg, which is the page building feature in WordPress, is going to impact the page building plugin ecosystem at all. It's a great episode. I hope you can stay with us.
This is the WP Elevation Podcast, helping WordPress consultants elevate.
Hey, this episode of the WP Elevation Podcast is brought to you by WP Elevation. Well, more specifically, it's brought to you by a bunch of our happy customers. See, frankly, I feel a little bit awkward telling you how great WP Elevation is because you're probably not going to believe me because WP Elevation is my baby. It's something that we started over 3 years ago. Of course, now we're a team of coaches and mentors, and we have hundreds, and by the time you're listening to this, probably thousands of members all over the world. But it still really is something that I'm very passionate about. And of course, if you join WP Elevation, we make revenue and we make profit. So it's a little bit awkward if I tell you how great it is, because you probably think I'm just trying to sell you on it. And partially I am, because I know how beneficial the program is. So what I'd love to do instead is just introduce you to some of our customers. So if you go to wpelevation.com/thepodcast, all one word, you'll be able to hear some of those stories from our customers and hear for yourself how WP Elevation has impacted their business and changed their lives. I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you check it out at some point. Right now, let's get back to the podcast. G'day folks, Troy Dean here from WP Elevation, and I'm very pleased to have with me Ben Pines from Elementor. Hey Ben, how you doing?
Hi Troy, how are you?
Thanks for joining us on the show. I'm very well, thank you. And a happy new year. It is where I live at the moment. It's the 3rd of January, so it must be the 2nd of January where you are, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Almost the 3rd.
Happy 2018, man.
Yeah, starting the year.
Now, whereabouts are you based, for those that don't know?
We're an Israeli company, so we're based in Tel Aviv.
Cool. And so what time is it where you are now?
It's now 11 at night.
Oh, wow. Thanks for staying up, man.
Yeah. Everybody's tucked in already, but
beautiful.
I'm up and running.
Excellent. Now, for those that don't know, tell us the elevator pitch of what Elementor is and what it does.
So Elementor is a page builder. And first and foremost, it's a visual design tool. So if you're familiar with WordPress, it's a great CMS, but it's not that easy to build landing pages or websites and design it, to look professional. You have to use a certain theme that looks a certain way. With a visual page builder, you can edit and design everything. You design it while you see it, and it's very handy. And, it cuts down on the work of the web designer substantially.
So it's true WYSIWYG design in the true sense of, what you see is what you get. Whereas if you look at the WordPress visual editor, really what you're doing there is just adding text and images to a predefined template. Whereas your tool allows me to control kind of the whole page of, certain rows that I put on the page and columns and widgets and all those kind of layouts.
Yeah, and if you think about how people used to work with WordPress, so people used to create the prototype on Photoshop and then transfer it and cut it, and really took a lot of using coding and HTML and CSS. With a visual page builder, everything is done visually. So you can go from, you still need to create some sort of prototype for guidance, but you create everything live. You don't need to waste all your time on coding and focus on your actual work on creating beautiful pages.
Yep, I love this so much. I have been saying for years now that if you're designing websites in Photoshop and getting them cut up into HTML and CSS, that your days are numbered. And because the reason I think is because a website lives in the browser, it doesn't live in Photoshop. So showing someone a picture of a website in Photoshop and then building it into the browser, there is always going to be a disconnect, and there are always going to be discrepancies between the two. And it's a workflow. It's a workflow I think that design firms are familiar with, but I think that we should be designing websites in the browser because that's ultimately where they're going to live.
Well, plus the competition nowadays, every business has a website, and this means that you're going to have to create more content, more landing pages, and change your homepage, add new images. All of that can, first of all, interfere with how the basic website looks like, and second of all, interfere how it looks like on different devices. So you're going to have to get that agile flexibility of constantly creating and also empowering. I mean, if you're a professional web designer, you need that professional tool, but also if you're just a marketer or someone who wants to use a template, then that's also a solution for you.
All right, so let's just take a step back. Before we dive into a little bit more detail around Elementor and the company, let's take a little bit of a step back. You joined the company after they were established, but before you actually launched. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. I had a kind of interesting history wherein I think I sort of filled every sort of all the spectrum of positions in I would say the SEO and content and marketing land. So I started in an SEO firm that was back in, I think, 2006. And then I started my own business. I created websites on WordPress. So I did a whole bunch of things, but the constant thing was WordPress. And for one of my own websites, I used a theme that was built by the founders of Elementor. That's how I found out about this company. And 2 years ago, I think my license was needed updating. So I went into the website and I saw they had filled up a position, and I was exactly in the right time, tried it, and the rest is like history.
Wow. So this is before they launched. So they hired you before they actually launched the page builder, yeah?
Well, they've been actually working on it 1 year before the launch.
Okay.
So, and they reached the idea of making it because they were a theme company. And they noticed that, and they had a builder that was a backend builder. And they noticed that there was a huge gap between how WordPress, which is still the most popular CMS, and other, solutions like Squarespace, Wix, etc. And really, the objective was to fill the gap and fill the huge gap there, and bring WordPress to 2018 now.
Yeah.
In terms of speed and design and having everything live.
Yeah.
So, a lot of hard work creating the interface that is friendly enough for the newbie and also professional enough for the web designer. And that's what originated Elementor.
And so your role specifically with the company is marketing, is that right?
Yeah.
So some people may be familiar with some of the other page builders on the market. I think this whole kind of thing started out and really exploded with Visual Composer, which was adopted very rapidly by a lot of the theme companies at Theme Forest. And then there were a whole bunch of page builders that came on the market in kind of quick succession. Beaver Builder has kind of come up as one of the darlings and one of the favorites. The Thrive Architect, is a new page builder that's launched. Elementor, Cornerstone. There's a whole bunch of them. What makes Elementor different from any of the others, and why did you feel like? Because we have this conversation all the time internally. It's like we could become a theme company, but it just feels like there are so many themes that we're not sure what value we could add to the conversation. So we're not sure how we would be different. So why were you guys certain that there was something that you could do differently to what the other page builders were doing?
Well, we wanted to, the vision was to excel at three areas, three main focuses. I mean, you have those, there's now the feature wars. So as you said, all the companies, each one has this feature than the other. So it's not really an idea. I think it's not a contest of feature wars because it doesn't really matter. I think it's more the vision of the company and if you relate to it. So we had three advantages that we wanted to excel at, and it's still relevant. So one was speed, having it fast, responsive, not that you drag and drop and then you have to wait, which was the prevalent thing 2 years ago, and still now. A lot of our competitors are considerably slower, both in terms of using designing using the editor itself, and in terms of load speed and code standardization. So that was super important to us, having that instant effect. You drag, it happens. You change a color, it happens instantly. The second thing was the design advantage, meaning a very high detail of an orientation for design. So incorporating all the design trends that are actually important for a designer, like shape dividers, and box shadows and overlays and different gradients. These were things that you see, you see pages created in Bootstrap, and you see again and again the same design, and you never get out of that boxed, boring look. And our vision was definitely both in how the plugin looks like. So it all across. We wanted to be design great, look great, and create beautiful websites. And at first, it was hard because when you start a new company, a new plugin, the first ones that you draw are not the top designers.
Yeah.
You draw the early adopters. So people who like to experiment with crazy new things. So at first, I think the first few months, our users created horrible looking websites. We created these wonderful templates and see how to, and every time I looked, it was horrible. I'm sorry to say. Sorry, users, I love you, but you're our first adopters, but you suck at design. But after a few months, we started receiving a lot of attention and drawing a lot of high-quality designers. So not only we created those beautiful templates, but we've seen, and now it's just exploded. I mean, the last thing I've seen is the Theme Forest. I think the Theme Forest Black Friday page was actually designed in Elementor.
Wow.
So that was a huge step of pride for us. And the third thing that we want to excel at was the ease of use. So don't crack your brains trying to figure out how to use I think this is important. This sometimes seems important only to newbies. I think it's also important for professional designers because even if you're great at designing, it doesn't mean you remember exactly where everything is, and you still want the interface itself to be friendly and to be easy to use. So that's the three focuses.
So with that vision in mind, You start out developing this plugin. It's a crowded marketplace. There's lots of competition. And I should also just outline that you guys have got traction. Like, you guys have got hundreds of thousands of installs. You've got, lots and lots of 400,000 installs.
400, yeah.
That's unbelievable. 400,000 installs, lots and lots of happy customers. So you guys aren't just starting out in someone's spare bedroom. You guys are up and about. You're a serious company now. How did you get traction in such a crowded marketplace? How did you cut through the noise and not just become another page builder that nobody cares about? How did you overcome that?
Well, of course, the most basic and obvious thing is that you need a great product, but I have to tell you from my own blood and sweat that it's not enough.
No, it's not.
I mean, you have to put a lot of emphasis on marketing and doing everything it takes. And we use a lot of channels. And marketing channels, and we're experimenting always with new ways of reaching a new audience, because not everyone has heard of Elementor. And so a lot of elbow grease, and it paid off, but it's still a lot of work. I mean, and also it's not always easy work, meaning if you can have the best solution in the market, you're still gonna have people saying like, "Oh, I use this. I use like this ancient page builder. I don't need anything new." So it's like a great stand-up comedian. You're gonna have hecklers.
Yeah.
So you have to develop some sort of like
thick skin.
an armor.
Yeah. So what's been the most successful channel for you so far in terms of getting Elementor in front of new eyeballs?
I would say first of all, the plugin itself is a great way to, having people experience the free plugin. So we have an extensive free plugin that was a huge part. I mean, we're still giving out the most features in a page builder for free. And we've seen that people get everything for free, and then they see what is available just out of curiosity in the Pro version, and they naturally upgrade to Pro. So I think that's like by far the biggest thing. After this, email marketing is huge, because here you can communicate your releases and the news and your blog posts. So email marketing is huge. Also we have an affiliate program, which is pretty successful. Feature releases, in the blog. Like there's a lot of channels, but and also just simply outreach, like contacting people like you, people that lead this industry, and communicating. I mean, you get people that are nicer and more responsive and less responsive, and you have to do the work and contact the right individual and communicate, not spam people, just communicate and try to get it to win-win. So the outreach people, the people you reach out also gain something. And
how do you capture email addresses from your free plugin?
Well, in Elementor, in the website, when you download the plugin, you can leave your email, and you can join our list. Then you get mostly feature updates and
gotcha.
Yeah.
And then once you've got someone's email address from using the free plugin, you tease them with what's happening with new feature releases, and then obviously you say in the Pro version there's this feature, and maybe you should upgrade to Pro, and
Yeah, well, we just did the year-in review. And we did a really nice page that I recommend you check it out. It really looks great, and it sums up most of the releases that we did. And it's, I think, 26 major releases, and over 50, like over 130 releases. Like we had every week we had something,
Wow.
and that's just 2017.
I'm looking at it right now, actually.
Yeah.
Did you build this in Elementor?
Yeah.
Wow.
Elementor, a wee bit of JavaScript code, but yeah, Elementor.
Is that the timeline across the top? Is that just a little bit of JavaScript for the timeline?
Exactly. Yeah. The menu, the sticky menu.
It's beautiful. It's fantastic. So I'm trying to get my head around this, right? You've got over 150,000 subscribers on your email list. I'm just on your homepage here, but there's no obvious. See, we've all been taught, and we do this, and it works for us, like that we offer something incredibly valuable for free in order to get an email address. On your homepage here, it just says, join our newsletter subscribers, subscribe. There's no like, where's my free, come on, man, where's my free ebook that tells me how to like drive a Lamborghini by the time I'm 23? Come on. What, like, there's no real strong lead magnet. You've just grown this email list organically from people just wanting updates about the product.
Exactly. It's something actually that we're thinking about, and we want to do something like that, like educate people. Like throughout the year, we have a very successful YouTube channel with lots of tutorials. So we've had success in that, and we've invested a lot now in expanding that area. So I think that's great also. And I think once we do that and offer that, that free course, that maybe emails will pour in even more.
How do you manage your resources in terms of, you guys obviously produce a lot of content. How do you manage your resources in terms of producing video tutorials and blog posts and infographics and these beautiful pages, the year in review? How do you make a decision that, okay, because we're about to launch a YouTube channel here this year in 2018, and we're putting significant resources into a YouTube channel. But I'm curious as to how you decide what's worth putting resources into, and when you say, okay, that's not working, let's pull the pin and let's not do that anymore.
Well, to answer that, I'll actually share something that Yoni, the founder, told me recently about his vision and rule of thumbs. Mm-hmm. So basically, you have your basic things that you have to have, like your tutorials, documentation, the things your users are going to need. Mm-hmm. But also, at least as important are celebrations. So every time you get a chance to celebrate, then take it. I mean, and that's not for granted. I think a lot of business owners don't understand that. Like, there's Christmas, there's Halloween, there's the year in review. That's so important because it's like, I think the analogy that Yoni gave me is, you enter a store. Mm-hmm. And you see all those Christmas things, and you didn't think about buying, or it didn't cross your mind. Just you happened to be there, but you saw the celebration, and it kind of warmed you up for it. Mm. And I think that's super important, because it's not just about today. People just talk about how to grow your list and how to reach from A to B, but I'm starting, and for me it's not not that intuitive, but I'm starting to understand how important it is to think about those, Black Friday and all those events throughout the year that give you a chance to go wacko, all in. In Halloween, we did something that was really successful for us. Like a video that was Halloween style, and a pack of templates, and a whole bunch of things. And it's also fun for the whole team to work on something that's a bit apart from tutorials. And so these are two of the things that I would recommend. And also in terms of outreach, collaborations are always, always a blessing. So we recently did a video for Color Mag because we saw that they have a magazine theme with over 100,000 users, and they recently redid their theme to include Elementor widgets. So we said, that's nice of them. We didn't ask them to do that. So because they did that, we said, okay, let's do a video tutorial about them. And it turned out really nice.
I'm looking at that right now, actually, on your YouTube channel. It's had over 2,000 views. You've got 14,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. And in this tutorial, we've taken the most popular free WordPress magazine theme, Color Mag, and combined it with Elementor to create a beautiful and stylish online magazine website that is also mobile responsive. So,
and magazine is also a pain of because for designers, because it's usually it's rather a complex layout magazines, because it's heavy on imagery, and if you look at the video, it's really simple to design it. You don't have to use a pre-made magazine homepage. You can build your own.
You make these videos in-house, these YouTube video tutorials?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, this is not specifically WordPress related, but I'm curious just in terms about managing your team. So how big is your team these days?
When I started, we were, I think, 5, and now we're over 20, and we're growing. So
that's awesome, man. Congratulations. And are you guys distributed, or you all work in the one place?
Almost all in one place.
Right. Yes. It's got its advantages, doesn't it?
It's so important. It's something we don't really convey in marketing, but having support sit next to the actual developers.
Yeah.
If they were in another country, they couldn't turn around and say, "Tell me, how do you do this?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We're a remote team. We have 3 people in Melbourne, 1 in Sydney, 3 in the Philippines. Then we have 4 in the Philippines. Now we have another 1 in Sydney, 1 in the UK, a couple in the States. And it definitely has its frustrations being a distributed team. I like the more people I can put in the one room, the better, I think, because it's just easier to communicate.
In terms of support, if you want to have full coverage, 24/7, then you're going to have some sort of outreach when you have, that many customers.
Yeah.
Almost all of the team is in-house, and I really like it. We did outsource some of. We had some content writers write some blog posts, which was good.
So just as a sidebar, what do you use to manage the workflow through the team? Like if we decide, okay, we're going to make a YouTube video for our YouTube channel to showcase Color Mag, how do you then manage that process?
Usually we use Trello. So we don't have we don't use Salesforce or Trello, and I personally also use Google Sheets or something like that for just to get my head straight, for my own personal things. But for the team, we use Trello.
Trello, awesome. Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. I just want to loop back a little bit to the actual product Elementor and what makes Elementor different for those people listening who might be familiar with some of the other page builders. What are some of the new features coming out in Elementor that might entice people to come over and have a look if they haven't seen it before?
So the template library was one of the greatest features in the product. So until now we have over 130 templates, beautiful responsive templates. And now we've completely did a makeover on the template library. So you get sorting, and you can save your favorite templates, and you can search according to tags and according to the name. It's really much easier to find the template for your choice. And also in Elementor, you can save your own templates and your own sections. You can save it and reuse it. So we've also included some improvements there in terms of search and exporting it. It's all done from the pop-up, like from the interface itself. You click Add Template and you have everything at your fingertips. And the other improvement is Autosave. Those are improvements that will be launching next week. So Autosave, it saves all your work automatically. You don't have to press save, meaning everything, your content is always protected. Plus, there was a problem once you got into editing an existing app, let's say you want to improve content that you've already published. You created an article and you want to add something to it. Until now, when you worked on it and saved it, it went live, meaning your visitors would see, and you pretty much couldn't leave your desktop until you finished the job.
Yeah.
And now we've divided it into drafts and publish. So you can work on your draft, save your draft, go take a coffee, and only when you hit, I'm talking about working on a already published work, and you're satisfied with the result, you hit publish. This way your visitors won't see what you're working on, and you can experiment. And
that's awesome, because WordPress doesn't even have that as a native feature.
I think they do, because you have that's something we kind of got inspired from how WordPress works, because once you click publish in WordPress, it's published, then you can still save a draft.
Gotcha.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think you can only save a draft before it's published. Once it's published and you make changes and you hit update, then it's live. I think what they've just done in the latest version of WordPress is they've now rolled out the ability to schedule your changes. So you can make a change and say, this goes live at a particular time and date.
Yeah.
But I'm still not certain you can save drafts of a published page. Anyway, someone will correct us on that. We should know that, but someone will correct us.
I haven't used the classic editor in a while.
Yeah. Now you've also, there's three things I want to talk about quickly. You've also got the Elementor theme coming out soon, yeah?
The theme builder, yes.
Yep. So can you talk to us about the theme builder and how is that different to the page builder?
Well, we're really evolving now beyond the level of the page. So in terms of, if you think of the vision, designing your headers, your footers, your single posts, your WooCommerce product pages, really endless, the entire website. So you can design dynamic areas of your website. And this, I believe, truly will, like, if you ask what can't you do in Elementor today, that's the next step. It's full website design.
So, and obviously you'll be able to save your own theme that you can then, in like a library that you can reuse again and again.
Exactly. Yes.
Beautiful. Short codes. A lot of page builders, and I actually don't know the answer to this question, so this is not a test. A lot of page builders, when you deactivate the page builder, they leave a bunch of short codes in your content editor, which I know can be a problem. How does Elementor handle that?
Elementor doesn't use shortcodes.
Awesome.
So once you deactivate whatever, it turns into all your content remains. And yeah, shortcodes are the worst. And all the CSS, everything is saved in external CSS files. So it's all optimized to the highest degree and great for SEO. So
beautiful. Yeah. And finally, I want to talk about just briefly Gutenberg, the new page builder, I guess, feature that they're building into WordPress core. First of all, what you're thinking on Gutenberg, and do you feel threatened by it at all? Do you think that it's going to impact the page builder ecosystem at all?
Well, actually, for the version that will be out next week, we've added compatibility with Gutenberg, meaning you can, when you exit Elementor, there was a problem with if you had the Gutenberg editor, so we solved it, and we're working closely with the Gutenberg team, and we're constantly thinking about ways to work together. So because we released this feature, I had a chance to experiment with it in more detail, and frankly, I think it's kind of speculation where it's going to go. I mean, for now, how it sounded, it felt to me is like, again, a great way to work on your content and your blog, and but not really a professional design tool. If it will evolve to that, then so we're gonna do the adjustments. But I think we have a clear vision to go forward wherever and adapt and work with Gutenberg. And I think it's great. It's a great step for WordPress. It's much needed, and it was obviously should have done at this time, even before.
Just finally, before I let you go, Ben, we were talking before the interview about the sense of community in the WordPress space, which is something that I've never experienced in any other industry. What do you guys do to actively foster and nurture the community around Elementor? And why do you think people that use WordPress and WordPress software and online software, why do you think they're so nuts about the software? And why do you think there is such a strong community?
Well, that's a question that really we can talk about hours, seriously, because I think it's a very complex question. I think the WordPress community is amazing. And I think that the origin of that is that the whole project is based on something that's really good. Like, I think the entire project is something that is so important, the ideas, the theory behind it, like why you need to democratize content. Lately I've been experiencing some major problems with my Gmail, and having everything controlled by companies has its perks, but also it has its disadvantages, because people can, I've heard like someone with a very successful YouTube channel that his channel just got closed. And your world collapses because it's your livelihood. And with WordPress, you always, that's the ideology behind it. You always own your content. And it sounds like, oh, okay, I own my content. I don't care. I'm not that successful, but you are. If you're starting out in 10 years, 20 years, who knows? Maybe you're going to be with 1 million followers. So owning your content is so important, and the community around formed around this idea. And in our own company, we know about the importance of our community, and we foster it first and foremost by getting feedback. And like a lot of our features were done because of user feedback, and also we're constantly in communication. And our Facebook group now has over 10,000 people, I think.
Wow.
Of people that, tons of questions and answers. And it's a great ecosystem that is live and active. And so if you have any product that has to do with WordPress, growing it from the inside of the community, even if you're a web developer or web designer, like you can build your business just by answering people's questions. I've heard some people, that's their main MO.
Yeah, I'm just checking out your Facebook groups now. I'm going to request to join the Elementor Facebook groups. I look forward to being a part of that community. Facebook groups have,
I'll approve you.
man, Facebook groups have revolutionized our business and my life. I mean, the connections and the friendships that I've made from having conversations with people in Facebook groups has just been incredible. And now when I travel, I meet people who I know from those Facebook groups, and I meet them in real life, and it's awesome.
I also think that it's interesting if you compare it to other communities. So if you compare, I'm sorry if I'm downgrading other communities, but I haven't seen any other community act in such a cooperative manner. I'm talking about, if you take the affiliate community or any other community doesn't act in such a cooperative and helpful manner. I got so much help from people in the first round when Elementor was anonymous, and it's just, I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, Ben, thank you for taking some time to hang out with us on the WP Elevation podcast. I really appreciate it, and I wish you guys all the best for the future of Elementor. Where can people reach out and say hi and say thank you?
The Facebook group, and of course, subscribe to the email. Maybe we'll get some emails from this show. Of course, download Elementor and use it.
Awesome. Elementor.com is where you can download the free version of the Elementor plugin and take it for a spin. It really is epic. I'm new to it. I've only been using it maybe the last sort of 6 weeks or so since members of our community have been talking about it for a while, but I've only gotten around to using it recently, and it's very, very impressive. So congratulations on all the great work, and keep it up, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Ben.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the podcast as much as I did, and I hope you enjoyed taking the Elementor plugin for a spin. You can get the free version at elementor.com. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe at wpelevation.com/iTunes and leave us an honest rating and review. It helps us come up in the search results and get the podcast in front of new ears. And if you're on an Android device and you don't use iTunes, then you can subscribe at wpelevation.com/Stitcher. And please leave us a comment on the podcast. All the show notes and all the links relevant to this episode will be at wpelevation.com/Ben Pines. That's BenPines. And let us know who you'd like us to interview on the WP Elevation podcast. Keep in touch on Facebook or Twitter. And I look forward to seeing you again on another episode very shortly. Until then, I'm Troy Dean. Go Elevate.